lost my voice. It's coming back much better than it was Friday night and Saturday morning, Saturday midday, Saturday evening. Much better. But not full volume yet, so my apology. I'll try to speak directly into the microphone. Subal will keep the volume so it's hopefully audible. And you'll listen very carefully, because I can't speak normal. The image that you see on the screen here is a painting of Rupa Goswami. Some of you may not know who is Rupa Goswami, so I'll give a little background. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, Krishna describes a system of disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. That is, knowledge of transcendence comes from the realm of transcendence. And it's passed on for the qualified person, in our case, Lord Brahma, the first created being in the universe, who then, by disciplic succession, taught that knowledge to his son, Narada. Then in turn, Narada to Vyasa, and so forth, and down and down and down, through an unbroken chain of teachers who then previously were students of some perfected person in disciplic succession, and in this way the knowledge is given to the next generation and after generation in an unbroken line. So Rupa Goswami is in that unbroken line specifically as a recipient of teachings from Lord Chaitanya. On our altar, an hour left, the altar's right-hand side, but our left, there's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya came in such a line, Lord Brahma, then Madhvacharya, and in the line of Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So our line is the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, or Lord Chaitanya line, unbroken line that goes to Krishna. The next generation of student was many, many, many. Lord Chaitanya had many, many, many exalted persons who received knowledge from him, transcendental knowledge. And chief amongst them, by Lord Chaitanya's own admission, was Rupa Goswami. Lord Chaitanya confirmed that Rupa Goswami received the fullness of my blessings, to receive all of the teachings, to fully realize all of the teachings that I gave, and to write literatures pursuant to those teachings. That's a high voltage capacitor to be able to receive all of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that was Rupa Goswami. After receiving that knowledge from Lord Chaitanya, he was given 2 assignments, or 3. Reside in Vrindavan. While there, write books according to what he has realized and understood after also systematic study of all the revealed scriptures, which he did, those two things. And the third thing was to restore the forgotten places of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, which he did. Mission accomplished. And he had a brother who was his elder brother named Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Previously, they were ministers in what is maybe 1/3 of today's India. The government of Nawab Hussain Shah at that time was ruling in Bengal, in that large area portion of India, not just today's West Bengal, but much, much bigger area. He was, Sanatan Goswami was the prime minister, and Rupa Goswami was the home minister, and their third brother was the finance minister. They were in charge of the government. Nawab was off with his armies conquering more territories, because they did everything. But they weren't interested at all in that style of life. Now there's certainly people in this world that spend their lifetime to get such a post. We won't name any names, but they're persons that they aspire for that like anything. But these two, Rupa and Sanatan, Chakta Tornamashesha Mandalapati Shranim Sada Turchavat. They just rejected it. Not at all interested. Largely because they were interested in Krishna Bhakti, devotion to Krishna. So they left all of that, palace, fabulous wealth, great fame, great position, greatly qualified also with that position. They had unique qualification to rule, but their character was so high people loved to follow them as rulers. In any case, they went to Vrindavan, and as shown here in the painting, they didn't have a palace, they didn't even have a home. They lived under trees. Very different lifestyle. And they engaged themselves as a shun. They were absorbed in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and they wrote books in pursuance of those realizations and those experiences, and studied carefully. So one of the primary literatures of the followers, amongst the followers of Lord Chaitanya, is Srimad Bhagavatam. Without detail, Srimad Bhagavatam is the best. It's called Nigamakalpatura Galitam Palam. It's all of the Vedas are called or compared to a desire tree. A desire tree doesn't just produce one fruit of one variety in season, as most trees do. A desire tree can produce unlimited amounts of fruit of any variety at any time, and not only fruits, but anything that you want. Pretty amazing tree. So the Vedas are compared to that, a desire tree. That is to say, within the Vedas, all the necessities of human society, the means to fulfill them in an ideal way, in a mode of goodness regulated by the codes of scripture way, it's provided. How to have good health, how to have longevity, how to have good government, how to have wealth, how to have prosperity in agriculture, how to have whatever it is that people want, the necessities of life. The means to achieve that is within this desire tree of the Vedas. But the ripened fruit of that desire tree of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. That's a nice teaching in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Vedaishta Sairvair Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Vedeva Chaham. By that, Krishna is saying, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. I'm the compiler of the Vedas, and I know Vedas as it is. So, the purpose of all the Vedas is this ripened fruit, to know Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the truths about Krishna, Krishna Tattva. So exhaustively, Rupa and Sanatan studied Srimad Bhagavatam and wrote books about Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanatan Goswami wrote a book, one way to describe it is a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a very interesting, very sublime, very profound way of revealing what's within Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's called Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Bhagavat means in relation to Krishna, Bhagavan. Amrita means nectar, so the nectar of the topics of Krishna. And Brihat means great. So Rupa Goswami wrote another literature called Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Laghu means light. Brihat, that's for my brother. For me, Laghu. Because of his mood. His mood, the mood of Rupa, was my elder brother, he's my spiritual master. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered, listen carefully, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami is the recipient of the fullness of my mercy. He who was the recipient of the fullness of Mahaprabhu's mercy has many wonderful qualities. One of them is humility. So he doesn't consider I'm the greatest. He considers Laghu, I'm very small, compared to my elder brother who's Brihat. So he can write Brihat Bhagavatamrita, and I can write Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Laghu Bhagavatamrita primarily is a literature focusing on one of the 6 questions that are found in the initial chapter 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first 3 chapters is kind of a introduction, summary of the topics of the Bhagavatam. It comes in the form of the sages who are assembled here, hearing from Sutta, who had heard Srimad Bhagavatam spoken first time by the original speaker of the Bhagavatam, Shukadev. They asked him questions. Canto 1, Chapter 1, questions. And there's 6, according to our acharyas, 6 primary questions, of which the next 2 chapters are answers. So, question number 5 is the focus of Laghu Bhagavatamrita. And this is all background to get to our topic, so you know this is authorized, not just some fellow's opinion. So that 5th question, if you have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home, you can go look, or online. It's also available that way. There's the verse. Here's the translation. O wise Sutta, the sages are asking Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations, such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal potencies. The Sanskrit there is Atma Mayaya. Krishna does what he does, or his forms of the Lord, they do what they do by his own potency, his own spiritual internal potency. He's not relying on anything outside of himself. God, as the religions of the world commonly say, God is the creator, he's the source of everything. And then this question indicates that after he creates, from time to time he enters that which he creates by his own spiritual potency. So this question is saying, please describe those forms of the Lord by which he shows his spiritual potency, by his spiritual potency, to attract the hearts and the minds of the persons in this material creation, to again be with him in the spiritual realm. So this book, Laghu Bhagavatamrita, is focusing on that one verse. And it's about that thick, just taking one verse. So what to speak of all of the other 17,999 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's just expanding on this one verse with very detailed references, in addition to Srimad Bhagavatam, to other references, because that was the instruction of Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami, to systematically and carefully study Nana Shastra, various scriptures, Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipino Saddharma Samsthapako. Saddharma, the eternal duty of all mankind, is established by these means. So they studied those literatures and then presented the conclusions of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. So it's a brilliant literature. It's recently been published by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. There's so many books to read, you just have to be a bookworm to read them all. Most of us don't have the time or the bandwidth or inclination. I just read a story about one 6-year-old, he's already read 100 books. I hope they're Krishna conscious books, because there are lots of other kinds out there. So about 95% of this Laghu Bhagavatamrita is describing the glories of the forms of the Lord as they appear in this world. And then the very final section is called Bhaktamrita. There's Bhagavat Amrita, the nectar of Bhagavan and his forms, his appearances. But it's incomplete without the Amrita, or the nectar of Krishna's devotees. So that's the title of this final section. And that's our subject matter for this evening. And just to directly appreciate, imagine you are a perfect person. Close your eyes and imagine you're a perfect person. And you had received the fullness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. That you may be even able to imagine the first one. You can't even imagine the second one. But imagine. And you have the assignment to write literatures according to those teachings that Mahaprabhu has given, with reference to various scriptures. So in order to understand the truths about Krishna, Krishna Tattva, found in Srimad Bhagavatam and these other literatures that Rupa Goswami cites, very systematic, very comprehensive, very thorough, This final section says you'll never know that without first approaching the bhakta of the Supreme Lord. That will remain unknown without this. So I'm just going to read this is Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, a disciple of Prabhupada, who translated this work. Editors edited it and now it's published by the BBT. How he handles this topic, it's very nice. He starts with making reference from Nana Shastra, from various scriptures. Those who worship Lord Govinda, this is from Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. Those who worship Lord Govinda but do not worship his devotees are proud, hypocrites who do not attain Lord Vishnu's mercy. That's an opening remark. Then he quotes Lord Shiva, another obviously great authority in the Vedic paradigm, quoted in Padma Purana, where he's asked by Parvati, who's the best of the devotees, or who are the best worshippers of the Lord? My dear Devi, although the Vedas recommend worship of the demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu is topmost. However, above the worship of Lord Vishnu is rendering service to the Vaishnavas who are related to Lord Vishnu. Then again, in the same section, Padma Purana, they who worship Lord Govinda but do not worship his devotees should not be known as devotees. They should be known only as proud hypocrites, similar to the other reference. And then comes one of the famous ones that Srila Prabhupada would refer to over and over. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. But Krishna speaks to Arjuna in other parts of the Vedas. In the Adi Purana, Krishna speaks to Arjuna this way. Those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees. But those who are devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. We commonly hear one who says that he's my devotee. No, he's not my devotee. But if he's the devotee of my devotee, that's my devotee. And it's only by devotional service that Krishna can be known. So the entry point is become a devotee of the devotees. And then you can enter into the mystery of Krishna Tattva. Then it's kind of like a lawyer building a case based on scriptural reference. Rupa Goswami refers to Canto 11, Chapter 2. It's a section where perfected souls, the Navi-Yogendras, are speaking with a king. Excuse me, this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava. Uddhava Gita, 11th canto. To worship my devotees is more important than worshipping me. And then a reference of Lord Shiva speaking in Skanda Purana. Among the devotees of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaja is the best. His glories in Skanda Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other Vedic literatures are to be found. Lord Shiva says, a devotee is one who understands Lord Krishna in truth. I am not among them. Among Lord Krishna's devotees, Prahlad Maharaj is the best. Of course, Prahlad would probably say, no, Lord Shiva is the best. But a scriptural reference, Padma Purana, Lord Shiva is saying, Prahlad, amongst the devotees, Prahlad is the best. Then he quotes Prahlad saying how he was honored in such a unique way that no one has ever been honored by the Supreme Lord. There's prayers by Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev. And he says, "O my Lord, O Supreme, because I was born in a family full of the hellish material qualities of passion and ignorance, what is my position? And what is to be said of your causeless mercy, which was never offered even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi? You never put your hand upon their heads, but you put it upon mine." The circumstance was Prahlad, in that same set of verses, he says he was sent from Vaikuntha, from the spiritual world, to take birth in this world, to exhibit the qualities of pure devotion. So it wasn't an accident, it was a very special, unique case of the Lord's volition, and Prahlad being the instrument of the Lord's will, he appeared in a very unfortunate circumstance. He appeared in the family of Hiranyakashipu. The description found before Prahlad was born, he was being carried in the womb of his mother, Kayadu, and while in the womb of Kayadu, the father Hiranyakashipu was off in the forest, undergoing severe, terrible austerities in order to achieve immortality. It didn't work, but he was very determined. And while he was absent, the demigods, headed by Indra, found in the palace of Hiranyakashipu his pregnant wife. So they thought, oh, Hiranyakashipu Jr. is in the womb of this woman, so we're going to take custody of this woman, and when the child is born, finish the child. But Narada Muni came, as he has the ability to somehow just show up at the right time, at the right place, and say the right thing. And he stopped them and said, within the womb of this mother is a great devotee. So please entrust her to me. I'll see that she is protected, and she can stay in some place in my ashram. So she stayed with Narada in his ashram. There's many other sages in his place. And she requested a benediction from Narada that the child within her womb would not be born until her husband came back from his austerities. So Narada gave that benediction. And he was in the forest a long time, 100 years. So during that period of time, Kayadu was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Narada. And the good news is, the child within her womb was also hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Narada. The difference between the two is, Prahlad didn't forget, even after he was born, and Kayadu forgot after she again came into the association of Hiranyakashipu. When Prahlad didn't forget, he took every opportunity to instruct his friends about the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and the glories of Krishna and the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. In fact, he got them to ecstatically chant and dance like we sometimes do, and children also love to do. But when his father, Hiranyakashipu, found out that he was doing this, he decided he wanted to have him killed. Not a nice man. Because as far as Hiranyakashipu was concerned, his number one enemy was God, Vishnu. And he wanted to kill him. And that my son, as a devotee of Vishnu, kill him. And Hiranyakashipu was very powerful. He had conquered the heavenly kingdom with his prowess and strength. Very powerful. But in so many different ways, he tried to kill his son, placing him in a pit of snakes, being tortured by his associates. But the snakes didn't harm him. That didn't work. So he tried having a wild elephant that his elephant trainers had captured and have him stampede Prahlad. That didn't work. So he tried having him tossed off a cliff. That didn't work. This painting shows Lord Vishnu caught him. In each case, Lord Vishnu protected Prahlad, because it's one of the features of the Supreme Lord, is he extends protection to those who take shelter of him. Just a little detail. In one of our Acharya's commentaries, he says, Lord Vishnu wanted to examine the heart and the mind of Prahlad, although he's situated within the heart. So he didn't appear right away as Prahlad is falling. Is he going to panic at some point and say, God, where are you? Save me. He didn't. Then at the last moment he caught him. Very pleased with his unflinching devotee Prahlad. His father tried boiling him in a vat of boiling oil. The fellow was not nice. But nothing worked. And other means tried feeding him poison. Nothing worked. Because Prahlad was being protected by Lord Vishnu. And without all the detail, when Hiranyakashipu became so angry, I'm the most powerful person in the universe. Everyone's afraid of me except you. Even the demigods, when I just raise my eyebrow, they tremble in fear. But you have no fear. And I'm the most powerful person, and I can't harm you at all. Where are you getting your power from? Prahlad said, from Lord Vishnu. Same place you're getting your power, Dad. Oh, Vishnu. Where is this Vishnu? He's everywhere. Oh, he's everywhere. Ruin my voice doing the Hiranyakashipu. Is he in this pillar? Prahlad looked at the pillar and, yeah, he's in the pillar. He's everywhere. So with his sword in hand, Hiranyakashipu smashed the pillar, and from out of the pillar came an angry feature of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, half man, half lion, for an interesting reason, upholding the word of Lord Brahma, and therefore this particular form. And being playful in one sense, but very fierce battle between the two. Lord Vishnu won, Hiranyakashipu was finished. And all the demigods came before Lord Vishnu or Lord Nrsingadev to pacify him. And they offered beautiful prayers, but the Lord wasn't pacified. He was still very angry. So they understood he's angry because Prahlad was offended. So then they went to Prahlad, little boy, to go offer prayers because he appeared for you. So you go pacify him. We're afraid of this angry feature of the Lord. So in approaching Lord Nrsingadev, his demeanor calmed and he placed his hand on Prahlad's head. So this prayer of Prahlad saying, you never did that with Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or even the goddess of fortune. And what's my qualification? I have disqualification. Nonetheless, you're very kind. You've shown kindness to me beyond even the kindness you've shown to them. And then Lord Nrsingadev, later, after hearing these prayers, he says to Prahlad, those who follow your example will naturally become my pure devotees. You are the best example of my devotee, and others should follow in your footsteps. That's just the beginning of this Laghu Bhagavatamrita, where there's a description of the glories of the devotees. So if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll hear volumes and volumes and volumes, chapters about the qualities of Prahlad, the glories of Prahlad, the mood of Prahlad, the fearlessness of Prahlad, the complete faithfulness of Prahlad, the purity of Prahlad. He's like a role model. I remember as a very new devotee, I didn't know anything about anything, but somehow just hearing about Prahlad, it was wow. And it gets completely in keeping with the mood of Lord Chaitanya. In this particular sense, he took every opportunity, as the followers of Lord Chaitanya take every opportunity, to give knowledge of Krishna to others. And when giving knowledge of Krishna to others, sometimes people say thank you. Sometimes they say something else. Get out of here, or some other things. No, not interested, or too busy, or yes, yes, and you know they mean no, no. Or they may say, oh, I'm from India, I know all about Krishna. Or something. It's not always a welcome recipient of knowledge of Krishna. But Prahlad and the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give knowledge of Krishna anyway. According to time, place, circumstance, thoughtfully understanding the other person, the recipient, and so many things. But the spirit is to give that message which Krishna came to give. Queen Kunti in her prayers gives this reason, amongst many reasons, why Krishna appears. And it's to restore this method of hearing, chanting, and remembering his glories. He does by exhibiting his glories. Those glories are recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then giving others the opportunity to hear. Why? Because that's the healthy condition of the soul, say the other. We're experiencing a diseased condition, not just, I've got a cold and I lost my voice and I've probably gone through 2.5 boxes of Kleenexes in the last week. Aside from that kind of a illness, there's the illness of the soul, the diseased condition of the soul. And that diseased condition is avidya, ignorance of who we are, what real happiness is, what to speak of experiencing it. We're very unfortunate. Manda samanda mateo, manda bhagya hupadrata. in the language of Bhagavatam. Very unfortunate. So when somebody's unfortunate, if you have the capacity to give them some fortune when they're unfortunate. So try to give somebody fortune, maybe give them money, or give them food, or give them medical care, or give them something. But to rescue the soul from the unfortunate condition of being in a cycle of birth and death due to ignorance is the greatest of kindness. And to do that, there's risk, and it's not easy. We were discussing this weekend. Prabhupada said that just to help one soul come to the position of wellness, of spiritual well-being, it's very difficult. But because something is difficult, we don't stay away from it. We recognize that's our responsibility or our opportunity. So we have places like this, Hare Krishna Temple in Chicago, so people can come together and chant and dance and worship the deity, hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam that awakens that consciousness of the soul. And back to our topic, hearing about the great devotees. And by hearing about the great devotees, becoming qualified like them, just by hearing about them. And appreciating the mercy of Krishna that has come into their life. May that devotee be merciful to us, so that mercy can come into our lives and we can become fortunate. By the hearing process, it's sublime. So somehow my voice held up. I'm not going to push it further. See if there's any comments or questions from anyone. Okay, so, one question.
Hare Krishna. Maharaja, as you told that the Bhagavatam mainly concerned the description of Krishna Tattva. And basically the works of Sri Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami are mainly focused on explaining the Krishna Tattva. But when we are looking at his nephew, Sri Jiva Goswami, basically Sandarbha, Tattva, Sandarbha, he's mainly focusing on Lord Chaitanya Tattva. So how can we
finish the sentence?
How can we understand that that the work of the Krishna Tattva means
and Gora Tattva are the same?
No, they are same, but why Jiva Goswami has not focused on Krishna Tattva rather than explaining?
Well, have you read the Sandarbhas? Okay. In the Sandarbhas, it's Krishna Tattva. That's how he begins the book. Oh, excuse me. He begins the book with glorifying his Ishtadev, his worshipable deity, Lord Chaitanya. But he finishes the Mangalacharana basically saying, I want to talk about Krishna. That's what he does. He speaks about Krishna. Then the next section he says, before we speak about Krishna, I'm paraphrasing, one should understand what's the best means of knowing that which we'd wish to speak about, Krishna. As Krishna Tattva from beginning, middle, and end. And that subject matter about Krishna is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. So I'll go like this. Any great acharya is interested in summarizing the teachings of their previous teachers. So he, Jiva Goswami, wants to establish that the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the highest. Anyone in any sampradaya is going to do that. They're the founder or the preceptor of their teachings, Ramanujacharya, his teachings are the highest, Madhva's teachings are the highest, Vishnu Swami's teaching, they're going to do that. It's it's their devotion. So Lord Chaitanya's teachings are the highest. That's what he wants to do. And the teachings about Krishna Tattva. So his strategy is, the Bhagavatam is the highest, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam are the same, and therefore the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the highest. Or the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam are the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya is the highest. And that's what he does. But the subject is Krishna Tattva. It's a commentary on the Bhagavatam, which is Krishna Tattva. So he's explaining Krishna Tattva in those different features, Sambandhavide Prayojana. That's what the text is. It's not about Lord Chaitanya's Tattva. It's about Krishna Tattva, as found in Srimad Bhagavatam. So reference again and again and again and again. His whole methodology is Srimad Bhagavatam.
During the doubt, because the doubt was coming in my mind when we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, not too many references are coming for Lord Chaitanya. There are some references in Prahlad Maharaj prayers and one in the 11th canto where they show the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So that was my whole doubt, that why Srimad Bhagavatam is not revealing more information of Lord Chaitanya.
Well, that's a different question. What you're just asking now is a different question than the first question.
The answer just to praise the previous acharyas and his Ishtadev. That's.
Well, that's natural. No, your question is 301, and this is a Sunday's 101 class. So why don't you come afterwards and we'll discuss? Because it's probably going over the heads of... The nature of your question is something that most of the audience can't fathom what you're asking. I know what you're asking. I'll give a short answer, but don't take the microphone from him. There's volumes written about the hidden nature, Chana avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chana in two senses. One, during his pastimes he did not disclose his divinity. The opposite. He tried to conceal his divinity. He showed his divinity, but he tried to conceal the fact. Because he was in the mood of the devotee of Krishna, not in the mood of Krishna. He didn't kill the demons. He removed their demoniac mentality by giving bhakti. So it was a hidden incarnation. And so the verses of the Bhagavatam are naturally like that. It doesn't directly disclose. Indirectly it does. So during his Leela like that, and the scriptural references like that, but those who are qualified devotees, they know, and they disclose. And there's fidelity and harmony in those different scriptural references that disclose very clearly. So, I don't want to go further with the question because it's, the answer is a long answer. It's an important question. There's verses in the Bhagavatam that say the truths of the Vedas are hidden in the hearts of the pure devotees. They can reveal the truths of the Vedas. The truths of the Vedas are there. Lord Chaitanya's position is there within the Vedas. And it takes a qualified person to reveal it. And I think we better end because we're quickly losing the interest of our guests. I'm going to end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.